There he is, former Saskatchewan Roughrider, two-time Grey Cup champion, Mike McCullough. We haven't chatted in a bit, Mike. Really appreciate you taking some time today. Still, I told Maz, no text messages. Got to call Mike to get him on.
Nope, email or phone. That's how I roll.
I love it. I really appreciate that. We're in a bye week here, so I thought no better time to bring you on. Riders 10-3. Everyone's talking about this game against Montreal. When you watch the game, you see what happens against Montreal. Really good football team. Is it just one of those games where Montreal kind of maybe takes advantage of what they see in some injuries?
No, I even talked to some people before the game. I thought it was going to be one of those catch-me games. Just one of those games where they expect to crush them. Going into the bye week, you're already thinking of plans, flights, what you're doing, and you kind of get distracted, and it happens. So it was to be expected.
Do you remember a catch-me game, as you say, back in your days?
Yeah, I think it was the big thunderstorm rain game in 2007, I think is what it was. It was delayed. We had to go back into the tunnel or back in the locker room for, about an hour and a half, 2 hours. And guys had flights that night. So guys were all on it. Guys weren't even concerned about the game. They're like, I got to fly out in 2 hours. And if that's the case, I'm leaving. And if they got to reschedule the game, I won't be here. Guys were just pissed off because they came in and said, if we don't get going in 10 minutes, we got to delay it tomorrow. And we had about 10, 15 guys like, I won't be here. I'm going home to see my family. So it was a bit of a scene. Luckily, we got started just in time. So those guys, as soon as we finished the game, they raced to the airport and got their flights for the bye week.
Wow, that is interesting. Bye week, and they're going through 3 this year. And AJ Ouellette, we heard from him. A bunch of them are going somewhere up north, cabin, kind of getting away, staying in Sasky, bonding, a group thing. Did you guys do that back in your day?
Did we do it? We started it. So AJ, the new 45 can not take credit for it. The old 45 was part of organizing it. So, I think, our first one, I think was in 05 or something. And now GM Jeremy O'Day organized it. I think there's only about 6 or 7 of us. And, it's good to have a GM who understands the, how important camaraderie is because, that 6 or 7 person, I think, fishing camping trip morphed into about, we used to have 60 guys come out to Bon Echo and things like that. It was great. It was just guys look forward to that. Even the guys who aren't real fishermen or outdoors types, we'd be talking about for weeks leading up. And it was a big event because there was no wives, no girlfriends allowed. It was just the guys. And it was a great time to get to know each other.
Wow, the pioneer of it all. That's interesting.
I'll give credit to O'Day because he started, I think, I want to say 05, but we had a few years off, and then I kicked it back up going to Bon Echo, and I think the guys carried it forward for a number of years after I left.
That's great. The defensive line, what they've been doing on the defense side of the ball this year, maybe minus against Calgary in those 2 games where the word was out physicaled. Is that what you saw?
Are you talking about just in the Montreal game or just
going back to the Calgary games?
Oh! I mean, they're a good defense. I mean, they're athletic, so I mean, you're not going to have an amazing game every game, but majority of the games, these guys are top notch. They're playing well. They're a good unit, and even if the offense is struggling, which they haven't struggled a lot this year, but when they do, the defense usually picks them up pretty good. I mean, last game I'd say it was a write-off across the board just because of everything and missing the 2 corners and everything. But no, I think all around, I don't think there's much of an argument to say that the Riders are the most complete team in the league right now.
What do you make of the coaching staff too? We have the coaches show every Monday here, and even last year, it just seems like that is such a cohesive unit. They're all on the same page. They're not very far removed from playing. When you look at that coaching staff, does that remind you at all of any coaching staff that you had?
No, I mean, they're pretty young. I mean, I guess they're fairly young head coach. They're young fairly across the board, but we always seem to have a mixture, young, old. So we never really had a whole coaching staff that was, 60 or 65, been in the league for 30 years. We also didn't have a staff that was, 3 years in the league. So we kind of had a nice mix. And these guys have a nice mix too. Whatever they're doing, it's working. So, I mean, when you're winning, any sort of blemishes are kind of, it's fine. We'll deal with that later. There's always going to be those blemishes, but it's just a matter of how you deal with them.
There was a lot of talk, and it's kind of subsided here the last couple of weeks. Thankfully, he had a child on Brett Lawther, and I'm sure you know Brett. He's been in the community. He's done a lot of community work, like you did when you were back playing. Did you feel for him and what he was going through?
Oh yeah, I know Brett a little bit. I like him; he's a good guy. But I also have an overall disdain for kickers in general. So, but I like Brett, and I know he's had a bit of a rough year, missing about a dozen kicks. It's a tough, as a kicker, because it's like, guys, come on, you got one job, just do it. But at the same time, everybody has down times, down years, and I'm rooting for Brett. He's just a really nice guy, good community guy, good for the city, good for the province. So hopefully he'll kind of right to some of the issues he's got going, and there won't be any more talk about Brett and bringing a new kicker and whatnot. And
then this league, when we were talking to Suter yesterday, and it happens year to year, but maybe where, we're sitting here middle of September and every team is still in the hunt to make the playoffs. It does, even Ottawa, you look at how bad and up and down it's been. Parity in the CFL, when you look at it, it's one of those things, like the players, they have to be on their toes. Coaches have to be on their toes, because you never know what you're going to get week in, week out. Yeah, I mean, it's usually there's one or two teams running away with it, one or two teams that are kind of struggling to stay in the basement, and then the other 5 or 6 teams are in the middle ground. And that's kind of the same this year. The Riders are, I wouldn't say far and away the best team, but I think they are the best team right now, because you got Calgary. We just always seem to struggle with Calgary, especially in the regular season. I don't know why. But they're just kind of nipping at our heels still. And, BC's coming on nicely. Even Edmonton's a tough out. So it's kind of typical for every year. There's always one or two on either end, and in the middle, 5 or 6 guys can do whatever. So, no one's out right now, but I think in the next couple of weeks, obviously, there'll be a couple of teams falling by the wayside for sure. As a former player, is that home playoff game as important as everyone makes it out to be? It is. Yeah, I mean, it's huge. Like, just having that and having your regular schedule and having the home crowd. And I think the home crowd is really the most important in the playoffs. It's when it's just playoff football is something different. It's a whole other animal. And it's just so exciting. And when people ask me if I miss the game, I don't miss playing, but I do miss playoff football. There's just something special about it when you get out there and you see your breath, and it's just beautifully Canadian football. But having that home game, yes, and especially if you can get that bye week, free paycheck. Yeah, that's. I only had it once in my 11 years. It doesn't come around very often for the Rough Rider organization. When it does, man, you get that free paycheck. It's pretty sweet. Mike, I know you're a busy guy. Thanks so much for taking some time, shedding some light on the Riders from your lens. Maybe we can catch up closer to those playoffs. Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.